Bruno Maçães, Belt and Road, the Sinews of Chinese Power. Embark on a fascinating journey as we explore Belt and Road, the Sinews of Chinese Power, an insightful book delving into China's ambitious global project. Discover how One Belt, One Road is reshaping international trade, politics, and economics through the development of a vast network of transportation routes, energy infrastructure, and digital connections. Gain clarity on China's motives in transforming itself from a regional player into a global superpower, while also understanding how this venture impacts countries, communities, and their responses to rising Chinese influence.
China's global ambitions. China's One Belt, One Road initiative is a massive and ambitious project aimed at building a web of transportation routes, energy infrastructure, and digital networks connecting Eurasia. While the initiative is vague, it is clear that China seeks to expand its influence on land and at sea. The project has been met with criticism and concern from Western nations, who view it as a threat to the global order, an attempt to buy countries' loyalty with cheap money, and a potential military threat. The initiative is viewed as a metaphor for China's global ambitions, and its success or failure will likely have far-reaching consequences. China's Belt and Road Initiative. China's Belt and Road Initiative signifies a shift in its foreign policy as it aims to mold the world to its tastes. The initiative includes economic transactions benefiting multiple nations and resolving shortages in things like phosphate. However, the initiative is more than just rebalancing markets, it is Beijing's attempt to establish new relationships and become a global leader. The initiative seeks to establish new routes for oil supplies to avoid disrupting China's energy supply. With the Belt and Road Initiative, China recognizes that its quick rise makes it a rival viewed with caution by the United States and the rest of the world. Belt and Road, China's global economic strategy. China's Belt and Road Initiative aims to strengthen economic cooperation across the globe, connecting countries through new networks of infrastructure, including roads, bridges, airports, and telecommunications systems. Unlike the US-sponsored Marshall Plan, Belt and Road is designed to generate demand and create economic prosperity beyond China's borders. The state retains control over strategic sectors, and the initiative promotes the Chinese model of economic development. Belt and Road extends beyond Europe and Asia to encompass Africa and other regions where China can gain allies. The project also aims to help developing nations without technological infrastructure to thrive in the e-commerce market, providing ample opportunity for online retailers like Alibaba to expand their customer base. China's Belt and Road projects. China's Belt and Road Initiative involves funding infrastructure projects across other countries, but this approach comes with drawbacks. While China sometimes pays the cost, burdened partner states like Djibouti face debt crises. Similarly, Sri Lanka's port project, financed by Chinese loans, saw China take a 70% stake when Sri Lanka could no longer repay. Such instances raise concerns over China's political interests risk overshadowing financial acumen. China is investing billions in its state-controlled commercial banks for Belt and Road projects, assuming significant control over the funding of infrastructure development in other countries. However, the more debt countries accumulate from China, the more financially dependent they become on China, allowing it to redirect immense financial resources to pursue its policy goals. As a result, Belt and Road projects carry long-term risks that are difficult to mitigate, such as non-performing loans and the potential for China's political interests to undermine sound financial acumen. Belt and Road, seeding economic corridors. The Belt and Road Initiative aims to build economic corridors at a fast pace, requiring hefty investment to win a return. A successful economic corridor involves the construction of industrial parks, free trade zones, and roads. China has built dozens of these corridors, including Horgo's International Cooperation Center, which China sees as its gateway to Europe. Kazakhstan is considered a strategic prize by China, and near Horgo's, China is developing a dry port to create new industrial areas and cities along the trade routes. Belt and Road expansion travels through former Soviet satellites, but China also has made inroads in Pakistan, a nation it views as the gateway to the Indian Ocean. China has built an industrial park in Gwadar and plans to construct a $500 million residential project for an anticipated flood of 500,000 Chinese workers arriving in the city in the next few years. China's Belt and Road Initiative. China's rapid economic growth relied on a massive cheap labor workforce, but increasing wages have changed this paradigm. To stimulate growth and global dominance, China has responded with its Belt and Road Initiative, aimed at redefining the country's position on a global scale. This has been demonstrated through strategic investments in electric car development, where China is determined to dominate the market through securing cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Belt and Road Initiative, China's economic coercion. The Belt and Road Initiative, China's trillion-dollar infrastructure plan, has faced skepticism and blowback from several countries. Admiral Phil Davidson criticized the initiative as a way for China to coerce states, while Russia endorsed it, giving Beijing momentum in Central Asia. Australia and New Zealand allowed private companies to participate but were hesitant to lend political support. Some Southeast Asian nations are pursuing regional funds for infrastructure projects without relying on China's funding. Unpacking China's future. China's ambitions have several possible outcomes, from adapting to the West's values to pushing aside liberal ones and replacing them with its own values. The country seeks to rival U.S. hegemony, but it approaches power from a different perspective. China bulldozes dissenters and values tradition, relationships, and loyalty over transparency, consensus, and the rule of law. With industrial output per capita doubling in just 12 years, China's version of influence peddling is resolutely opaque. Liberalism relies on a system of checks and balances, and this doesn't exist in the Chinese regime. There are 4 scenarios of how China's future may play out: coexisting with the U.S. as major powers with little conflict, overtaking the U.S. but leaving the West largely intact, eclipsing America and pushing aside liberal values, and the 2 powers staking out their own spheres of influence. The Belt and Road Initiative is an essential aspect that will unravel over many decades, similar to Holy Writ.
As we conclude our exploration of a Belt and Road, it's evident that China's intentions go far beyond merely establishing trade routes and balancing markets. The project is a clear manifestation of the country's overarching strategy to assert a dominant role on the world stage. Through interconnected networks and international infrastructure investments, China seeks to transform its global presence and bring the world closer to its own vision. However, this sprawling endeavor has been met with skepticism and resistance from various quarters, showing that the outcomes are far from certain. The key takeaway is that, as China continues to expand its influence, the world needs to be vigilant and prepared for the emerging power dynamics and their implications.